health drink.
Wow. Look at that. Now that's the letter.
This is it. So, I mean, I've sent you a scan of it, but that's, and then I put it in our archival.
Well, this is not dated the same as the things.
No, there's no date. You didn't put a date on it, but I figured it out. It's June '65. They played at the Troubadour for 2 weeks.
When this was written?
When you wrote that. This is before you saw the ad in the Hollywood Reporter, and it's, you know, I just thought it might be a cool to show you because it's such a heartfelt letter, and you're in a quandary as to like, what's the next step for me? Because the MFQ is now doing folk rock and going in that direction, and you were still like wanted to do the Bob Dylan and do the, you know, play the harmonica and do the folk singing.
Gary, you've always been a big fan of that letter, haven't you?
Well, the fact
It
that
was
you
amazing
saved
to get. Yeah.
Well, the fact that you saved it, so I archived that, but this is an asset-free archival thing. But get over there, well, at least be next to each other, and well.
I keep hoping I have his name right first got this Gibson electric. And I thought, this would be the start of something. I remarked you got your dreams are remarked.
It's hard to read.
Almost impossible.
Oh.
And I figured that you all were finally going by the way of all the rest of us.
Going electric.
As folk swingers.
Folk swingers? Okay.
Well, Ted, I was in the muddle of the same shtick. I put down my Goya and took up a Gretsch Tennessean, and my bass man put down his Mittengald and took up a Fender jazz bass. And we thought, oh well, hell, we just got a lot of rock and roll crap. You know, amps, mics, wires, drums, etc. And I started for it. Look out, Beatles, here I come, sort of thing. Well, oddly enough, I started smoking. I started making money at this game. But Ted, it took something out of me that I don't exactly know how to describe. I no longer could smile on stage. I couldn't capture an audience. The spark of fire I used to feel inside was ebbing and being replaced by the pulse of the music around me, not in me. And as time went on, I became less and less content. Not unhappy, just not content. Wow, I kept trying to salvage my rock and roll. I wrote rock and roll. I played rock and roll. I loved it. Yeah. Tried to make it work, to get inside of me, to get it to spark more in me than tribal, savage emanations, and it wouldn't. No, sir. No way. No way in hell, because I had been exposed to the subtlest of other music, folk music if you wish, and I had been able to capture many real things about music and substance, life, when I was able to get that broad on a scope. But mostly I missed the fun of down house or folk stuff. I missed having more than basic passions aroused in me because of the music. So I quit. I said, fuck it. I went back to my 12-string, sent out my Dreamer home, got my bass man's upright new strings, and we went back at it. And so have I, and so here I sit, with a wife and a baby and all the responsibilities of a home. Next to broke, but at least content with what I'm trying to do. I've just started, Ted, on this new road, and I may get burned, but then again, I may not. But at least it's honest. I'm no longer trying to impress people with my cool. That's the science you have to play in R&R. I'm just me now, happy, and contrary to what you might think, I have the great potential open to me for high money making. If that is important, and it is pretty important.
It's amazing.
Now, Ted, I know that folk music and rock and roll are headed in a new direction, and someone somewhere is going to find it, and we'll have another innovation. Perhaps it is the new Bob Dylan, or the Byrds, or the Rising Suns, or maybe it's the MFQ. But somehow it seems the MFQ has lost more than it gained in their transformation. And granted, the old MFQ today would house a loyal following, but small. And maybe the new MFQ will reach the troubadour scope of the Stones, or the Byrds, or the Beatles, who knows. I grant you that you perhaps needed to change with the times. But at the expense of what? That's what I had to ask myself. And the piece was and the price was too dear. Oh well, I've rambled enough. I just had to write though. I'm still the biggest fan that MFQ ever had. And regardless of what you do, I'll patronize it. But I had to tell you that I went through the rock and roll business myself, and what happened inside of me because of it, and what has led me to, in hopes that you could glean some light on your own kick you have going. And if I did, groovy, and if not, well, that's okay too. At any rate, good luck. Drop by Ledbetter's if you get a chance. I'll buy you a beer.
Wow. That is amazing. Yeah, in the first part of it, it doesn't settle into the main point, but then I was thinking, well, I remember this as being a letter where you were unhappy that we were electrifying, And in the end, it's very explicit, but it hems around a little bit in the beginning. But what a letter, wow. And you know what, I agree totally with you. I mean, I much prefer the 4 parts vocal harmonies, Yeah, why did we go on that trip? Drummer, electric, because of the Beatles,
Sort of yes. I don't dive completely into that pool. Everybody did something because of the Beatles, including the President of the United States. But what I think was going on during those times was a coming to terms with the reality of rock and roll and what it had inseminated into our culture and who we were as a people and who we were as a nation, etc. And it being this subject produced some astounding presidents, some astounding people who did great work.
You mean the new feeling, the new energy led to other people. Yeah,
that's correct.
Electric, right? We were kind of moving into the new
Well,
Hey,
trying to
sort of,
anyway, trying
right,
to, but
yeah.
paying a real price for it with the natural wood and the natural tensions and the natural calf skins and so forth.
Yeah.
Those things have a resonance to them that's unique. I mean,
They
it's
sure
nothing
do.
else in the world like
Yeah.
it.
And when you were saying that when you played folk music, you felt better, you know, it wasn't
Yeah.
just the primitive beat, and that, I understand that totally.
There's something
Boy, I mean,
about,
there's sadness and there's more, it's a lot more subtle when somebody's playing guitar and singing, or four people even, I mean, you know, I
Yeah.
think of all of those people that I used to hear. Well, the Kingston Trio, they were a very commercial one, but I mean, anybody that you know, Arlo Guthrie, wow, he's a national treasure. He's an amazing guy with the guitar. I mean, even he has, I think he had drums. I saw him at Woodstock,
He had what?
Bethel. I think he has a drummer. Well, he plays alone, but I'm trying to think of people who just play the guitar and sing. I mean, God. Dino Valente, he was a guy who fucking played that 12 string and just, you know, me and my uncle went right on down. And he's rocking back and forth. And wow. Well, if you put a drum in there and a bass, it would be a way different song. It wouldn't, yeah. I totally agree with that letter. It's amazing.
I'm amazed that you saved the letter, that you still have it. Or is that Gary's doing?
Well, he
No,
found it.
I
in
found
archive.
it and I thought,
I'm
oh
a
my
bit of a
God.
pack rat. Yeah, I don't throw much written stuff out. you know.
No, that's good.
It's a letter that he wrote in 1965, a 6-page letter to his band.
At the Troubadour, I think you were doing the hoops or
fan
something
letter.
there for a while.
Yeah.
And we played there quite often. Strangely enough, looking back at, we got Herbie Cohen's filing cabinet when Herbie walked into the next room, and it has all of our gigs. We played like 2 weeks in a row at the Troubadour. You know what people don't realize nowadays, musicians back in the 60s, we go on the road, we never played a one-night gig. Every club we ever played was 6 days.
Yeah.
Never more, never less. Always 6 days. Always, always, always for like 4 solid years.
You know, I found some video of you guys on YouTube the other day, live video of you guys
Yeah.
playing. I
Way
had
back.
never seen
Yeah.
you play. 64, 65.
Was it folk or rock? Oh.
It was rock.
Oh.
You guys were rock. I mean, you were rocking that banjo
Okay.
and doing
But
some
they didn't
great.
but they didn't have a drummer. No, there
Might
wasn't
have,
a
maybe
drummer.
it's that one. If all you think when I make those awful faces.
Come on in, you know you're welcome here. Come on in, it's been a long cold year. Now I know why I waited around, I wouldn't run around town to let them put me down. I knew if I waited I would win, so baby, come on in. Come on in, you know you're welcome here. Come on in, it's been a long cold year. Now I don't know what went wrong, but a whole year has passed by and gone. We're back together now where we belong, so baby, come on in. Come on in, you know you're welcome here. Come on in, it's been a long cold year.
Yes, you do.
And I was making these faces, you know, that didn't even fit the lyrics, you
Yeah.
know. I'm so
Yeah.
embarrassed
That's
when
the
I see
one.
that. Just fighting into that fucking song, regardless of what the words said, you know.
It was television.
Yeah, that's true.
And Eddie Ho was the drummer at that time that you saw them at the Troubadour.
It was exciting to us, and I know when we played the Action Club, and we do 5 45-minute sets a night. And Vito would come in there with a bunch of his young girls wearing slips and, you know, their hair, flowers in their hair, and they would dance. They were on acid, and they would dance with their hands in the air, watching their hands. And you couldn't play a 3-minute song, and they'd be very upset. I mean, you had to give them at least 10, 12, 15 minutes, you know, per song, because they get all wrapped up in it, and they're the main, lots of them on the dance floor. So we'd play the whole song, and then each person would take a solo, and then we'd do a little raga thing.
First jam band.
Yeah, it was like well, we weren't the first, you know, but Ravi Shankar, if you would listen to Ravi Shankar. You know, and I remember my electric banjo, I would rub it up against the mic stand and go, you know, psychedelic. It was psychedelic. It was a new thing, you know, in the air, I guess. But I agree. I mean, what we were doing was classic and ageless 4-part harmony, you know, with those 6ths and 9ths and moving parts. And oh my God, I hear the 4 freshmen. It just kills me. My partner Peter lives up in Grass Valley, and he's trying out to be a DJ on the local FM station, and he had me come in one night. And he played 4 freshman songs, and then he played us singing Jerry's song, Brooklyn Girl. And I must say, it held up. I thought, oh no, this is very unfair. But I haven't heard that stuff very much. Just 4 voices, 1 guitar, one acoustic guitar, and you just hang on every note. I mean, you don't have all that, you know. When John Stewart's father used to tell him when he'd be playing rock and roll, he'd say, "Neddy mind the wham-de-bam." And John would have to go sit in the car outside and play. He was trying to, you know, play sort of rock music, you know, folk rock. Neddy mind the wham-de-bam.